Hey everyone, thank you for stopping by. I hope your week has been great. I hope you've been taking great care of yourselves. It is Friday. Happy Fibro Friday to you all. I hope that you have found some new things to support you in your chronic illness journey, if that's something that you're on. And if you haven't found anything, here's hoping that this video will be that finding for you for the week. So if you are new, welcome. If not, welcome back. I know a lot of people do like to check in with these sort of things, especially if you suffer, maybe not from fibromyalgia, but some other sort of chronic illness, because a lot of the things that might be helpful for someone with fibro could apply to any chronic illness or autoimmune condition. So here's hoping that this is useful to you no matter when you come across it. Today we're talking about fibro fog, and I only briefly touched on this, I think, when I talked about symptoms in a video a while back. If I can remember that video, I will put it in the area above my head. But if I can't find it, then we're going to treat this as brand new because I certainly haven't gone in depth with this. So if you're not familiar, fibro fog is a condition where you have a difficult time with cognitive things, having trouble with memory, trouble with ordering your thoughts, feeling confused. And it's a very frustrating thing, especially if you're someone like me. Prior to my diagnosis, I relied on my brain heavily. And I know you're thinking, oh, every human relies on their brain. Not the same way. I used my brain very intentionally and I used it a lot. It was under a huge cognitive load all the time. And so when I started having these really bad fibromyalgia symptoms, I thought I was losing my mind because I was having a very difficult time with managing my thoughts, ordering my thoughts, remembering what needed to be done. And I knew this was something beyond just getting a little bit older, which is normally what most people would chalk it up to. Oh, you're not as young as you used to be. That may be true, but this is something completely beyond that, where you're having a very hard time remembering one or two of the tasks that you need to do in a single day, and you are forgetting things that you never would have forgotten before. So between remembering things and having the mental energy to complete certain things, fibro fog can be devastating, and it can make a really bad condition even worse. If you have any kind of cognitive fog issues, my heart goes out to you because it is a very frustrating path to get those back under control. However, I'm hoping that this list of things, some of them obvious, some of them not, will help you all. And if you do suffer from cognitive issues related to chronic illness or fibromyalgia, remember that this is a video. Come back to it as you need to refresh your memory or to make notes. Don't feel like you have to overwhelm yourself with a bunch of different helpful points at once. But we'll get more into that in a minute. So let's talk about some of the things I've done to help with fibro fog. The first thing is, of course, getting as many of my other symptoms under control as possible. The better I felt, the lesser my fog was. And it still took time, a lot of time, but trying to get everything else under control helped. I just think a little bit clearer when I'm not in horrible pain. I just think a little bit clearer if I am somewhat rested, more rested than normal. So certainly getting all the other symptoms as under control as possible helped. And that's kind of obvious, right? But on top of that, I had to get really good at identifying what made the fog worse. And by knowing what made it worse, I could address those things individually, right? So first thing I noticed, the fog is worse when I'm really tired, and it's very hard to get a good night's rest when you have fibromyalgia, but getting adequate rest is crucial. If you're having problems with your rest, I will put a video overhead of a tea that I use that is excellent, knocks me flat. I don't know how it will work with everyone, but I know for me it works, and it's very gentle, but it gives me some of the soundest sleep ever. So that is a consideration. Things to help you with getting good, deep sleep, having excellent sleep hygiene, which is another video for another day. I don't think I've ever done a video on sleep hygiene, but that's another video. But certainly getting adequate rest is a huge one for my personal fibro fog triggers. That's the first thing. The next thing I did, which was a little unusual, and this may strike a chord with some of you, is that I changed the sounds of some of my alarms on my phone. So what I noticed was that I had certain alarms that would go off and they would jolt me. And that jolt, that kind of startled reaction, made it very hard for me to get my bearings. So I could not have that as a top of the morning or even in the middle of the afternoon, right? It has to be something gentler, but still effective. So paying attention to some of your alarm sounds, seeing how you react to your alarms. Do you feel slightly alerted where it's like, oh yeah? Do you feel reminded or do you feel startled? It's worth noting because those sounds can throw you off enough where you forget what you're doing. And as someone who is trying to minimize the amount of fog induction, the last thing you need is to be thrown off of your game by an alarm that's kind of jarring. So consider changing some of the sounds that you use throughout the day, especially alarm sounds that can help you with managing fibro fog, at least reducing the instances where you're feeling forgetful because something has startled you, right? The next thing I do is I cluster tasks. So what I like to do is if I'm going to clean, I clean in one room. If I'm going to shop or do any task outside of the house, I consolidate or cluster those tasks that are in the same area. So I do not go to my credit union unless I'm going to the international market that's not very far from it. That way, I am automatically reminded when I go in that direction, I'm doing both things. Usually, I'm not going in that direction and thinking to myself, I don't quite remember. I can go to the international market anytime on its own, but certainly when I have something to do at my credit union, I always cluster it with a trip to the grocery store. I do something very similar when I take my daughter to dance classes. That is the time, especially when I'm just dropping her off. That is the time where I go to Whole Foods because it's not very far from where her studio is. So I try to cluster the task so that instead of trying to remember what am I doing, the area itself is a trigger to my memory. As I go down that particular set of streets, I am reminded of what needs to be done in this area. And in the case that I still somehow forget, because it can happen, I don't beat myself up over it because I came out of the house for at least one of those things. And one of those things got done, right? So clustering tasks as much as I can is very, very helpful to me. The next thing, of course, write things down. I mean, like that should go without saying. But if you're someone who likes to rely on your mind more than pen and paper, let me just tell you, when you're suffering from fibro fog, there is often a disordering of thoughts along with a forgetting of things. Writing can help you order your thoughts, even if you're not so much forgetting things, but your head still feels foggy because things feel kind of jumbled and very disorganized. Writing can help a lot with that. So writing things down, that should be number one, but I wanted to put it a little further down because it is kind of obvious, right? Write things down so that you don't forget them. And then on top of writing things down, this is kind of like, let's see, that was point 4. So point 4 is writing things down. Point 4A is to not put too many tasks in one day. It's very important to think about cognitive load as having like a tray that you've loaded up with things. Don't put so many things on your tray so that when you fall, because falling happens a lot, proverbial falling happens a lot, metaphoric falling. When you fall, things go everywhere and you feel more frustrated than you were when you were trying to load all the things onto the tray. Don't overload your tray. Don't overload your schedule. Write down what needs to get done and really be intentional with doing a couple of the most high impact things from that list in a day and just letting the others rest to another day. You probably have to pace this a little bit differently anyway because of your energy levels, but certainly from the cognitive side, don't overwhelm yourself, okay? The fifth point is to rely on sensory triggers. I mentioned going to certain locations and doing clustering tasks. Sensory triggers work in a very similar way. Same thing with changing sounds. Sound, scent, smell, taste, sight, of course. All of these things, and touch. All of these things really work well with helping you to get some groundedness when you're feeling like you're kind of all over the place mentally. So this is basically grounding. Sometimes you can go outside, step on earth barefoot. Earthing is helpful, but it doesn't have to be earthing necessarily. It could be just being very present with your senses, paying attention to the taste of things very intently, paying attention to smells, using smells to help train your brain to certain responses. Very helpful for connecting to the physical body, and that groundedness can help so much with fibro fog, which can make you feel like you're not quite connected. Go back into your body, tap into your senses. That can do wonders for helping your brain calm down and reorder things, which is one of those unfortunate things that come along with fibro fog. Just the disordered mind, it's a pain. But if you come into your senses, it can help a lot with, like I said, calming things down, de-stressing, reconnecting to the physical body, and getting your brain basically reset, for lack of better words, reset a bit so that you can focus again and regain a portion of that focus that you feel like you may have lost through this fibro journey. The next thing is chunking down information. I mentioned a little while ago that this is a video. Watch it, rewatch it, take notes at any point that you need to. Don't feel like you have to watch the entire video at once. Listen to a little bit, as much as you feel is manageable, and then come back to the rest, or listen to it all and then return, whatever. But I know that if you are tasked with learning a lot of information, like I'm doing now, trying to learn about large language models and AI, best thing you can do, give yourself 10 to 15 minutes of listening time or information absorption time, and then take a break. Chunk it down into manageable portions. Use or consume a manageable portion, then walk away. You can come back to it the next day or come back to it in a few hours. Don't feel like you have to do it all at once. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That is very important to remember with this journey as well. Fibro fog has probably robbed you, maybe not permanently, probably not permanently, but it has robbed you of your ability to do all of the things at once. Don't worry about it. Focus on what you can do and what you can master, what you can really absorb, and then leave the rest for another time. Okay? And the last thing that I do that has helped me with my fibromyalgia is my playlist. I will use my playlist to help me remember certain things. So what I will do is, if I know that I have an intense couple of days coming, then, and I know, okay, I'm not going to remember all of the things, I will add videos to my playlist related to some of the things that I need to learn or do or whatever. And I will title the playlist, and it's private playlist, or these are private playlists. I might title it week of March, whatever, the week at the beginning of the week, what is it, the 20th coming up? So March 2023. And the playlist will have certain things, and I can just go through the playlist as many times as I need to remind myself of things to do. Like I might have a cooking video in the playlist to remind me to go grocery shopping for certain ingredients to remake the recipe. Or I might have a haul video to remind me to pick up a particular item of clothing, or in the case of the beauty videos I have, to remind me to buy certain makeup products, because not for me, for my daughter and her dance stuff. So, you do what you can to help with those kind of things. And for me, a playlist helps because I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to remind myself to go to it, not because I remember all of the videos that I've saved in it. I don't. But I am able to go to that list and glance through the titles and remember, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do this, this, and this. And I can just, I could just say, not just the week, you can just do the month. April 2023. If you know there are certain things you got to do, find a video related to it, save it to the playlist, and every day just make it a habit to check into that playlist to remind yourself, what am I supposed to be doing this month again? Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be doing this or this. Very helpful, free of charge, because you've already got YouTube. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video. So that is it. 7 tips for managing your fibro fog. Getting adequate rest is the first tip. Changing your alarm sounds or removing any sounds that are jarring and can make you feel confused or disoriented when they go off. Changing to gentler tunes that are still effective. That's number 2. Clustering tasks, doing things on the same side of town at the same time so that you're not running all over the place is number 3. Number 4 is to write things down, of course, making sure that you jot things down. And 4A is to not overwhelm yourself with too many tasks at once, as far as writing them down. Number 5 is relying on sensory things to help you with your grounding: scent, smell, taste, touch, sight if need be, but definitely grounding through sensory connection, very important. Number 6, chunking down information. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Manageable information portions. And number 7, using a playlist, titling it something very general for a period of time and putting videos in there that relate to what you need to do during that period of time, and then going to that playlist to remind yourself. So that's it. This is a slightly longer video for Fibro Friday, but I wanted to take my time and go through this. If you have any questions or anything that you found that has helped with your fibro fog or cognitive issues related to chronic illness or whatever, please let me know. And I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on this. If you've dealt with it and how you've managed it, I'd love to hear. And if you come back next week, there will be videos, but I don't know about Fibro Friday. I think I'll be able to film, but next week's a busy week. I'm going to try to film it ahead of time so that I do have something. But anyway, that's it. Please, please have a great weekend. Take excellent care of yourselves, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.